Good afternoon, Sir Fardo. My name is Movric Españo, and I'm from PICAS 06201A. And the topic that I'm going to present is the land outside the coverage of Carl. Let's start off with its background. The Republic Act of 6657, or what we could say the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, or CARL, was signed into the law by President Corazon C. Aquino on June 10, 1988, in response to peasants' call for equitable access to land. For a long period of time, the elite landlords brought by the feudal system during the Spanish colonial government controlled the country's agrarian system. Problems of landlessness, massive poverty in rural areas, and abuses of landlords led to the formulation of a number of agrarian reform policies in the country. Carl was the sixth land reform in more than 50 years following land reform laws since 1933. It instituted the implementation of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or CARP, which means to distribute lands to farmers in a span of 10 years and usher in new process of land classification, acquisition, and distribution. CARL covers all public and private agricultural lands, regardless of tenurial arrangement and commodity produce. In specific terms, it includes all alienable and disposable lands of the public domain devoted to or suitable for agriculture, lands of the public domain in excess to specific limits, lands owned by the government devoted to or suitable for agriculture, and lands and private lands devoted to or suitable for agriculture regardless of the agricultural product race. The worker beneficiaries through cooperative or association may collectively own the lands when it is uneconomically feasible to divide. The distribution of all lands covered by the law shall be completed within 10 years. Let's start off with the structures, institutions, lands that Carl has implemented. First is lands actually directed and exclusively used and found to be necessary for parks, reforestation, wildfire, forest reserves, fish sanctuaries, and breeding grounds, watershed, and mangroves. The second is national defense camps, school sites, and campuses, including the experimental farm stations operated by public-private schools for educational purposes. Next is seeds and seedlings research and pilot plant production centers, churches, and convents. The other one is mosque sites and Islamic centers. Next is common burial and cemeteries, penal colonies, and penal farm work by the inmates. And lastly, government and private researches and quarantine centers and all land 18% sloping over except those already developed. Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program Extension Reforms, or what we call it CARPA, or in other words, the Republic Act 9700. It is an act strengthening the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or CARP, that increases the acquisition of all agricultural land, instituting necessary reforms, amending of purpose-specific provisions of Republic Act 6657, or CARL of 1988 as amended. Republic Act 9700, or the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program Extension with Reforms, or CARPER, was signed into the law on August 7, 2009 with the following features. 1. Strengthening and improve Carl or Republic Act 6657 has not been superseded by Republic Act 9700. It has further strengthened and improved it. 2. The corporate has a 150 billion budget funded from the Agrarian Reform Fund and other funding sources. Number 3. 7 new provisions and 26 reform provisions. 4. Restored compulsory acquisition and has extended the land acquisition and distribution component for 5 years starting on July 1, 2008 up to July 30, 2014. 5. Strikes a balance between and among the landowner interest, farmers' interest, and the DAR's interest as follows. Number 6. Creation of the Congressional Oversight Committee on Agrarian Reform, or what we call it COCAR, to oversee, monitor, and evaluate the progress of CARP implementation with the 5 years time frame. The DAR, in coordination with the Presidential Agrarian Reform Council or PARC, shall plan and program the final acquisition and distribution of all remaining unrequited or unacquired and undistributed agricultural lands from the effective of this Act until June 30, 2014. Lands shall be acquired and distributed as follows. I think the next reporter will be presenting after me. So that's all, sir. Thank you.